Hey, ladies and gentlemen, witches and wizards, turtles of all ages. Welcome to Nom Talk Review, part of Nom Talk Network. Where on this show, we review the latest film drop or throwback, celebrating a milestone while eating and drinking our favorite movie snacks and drinks. I'm your host, Alejandro Cowie, and today we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles Back in Time. I myself, in a little turtle representation, had to go ahead and bring a couple slices of pizza to go ahead and have the vibe. And yeah, it's not like sodas and stuff, but it's still green like a turtle. So a little bubbly. Now I want to introduce my three fantastic guests. You see some familiar faces with the shows today. I would like to go ahead and give a shout out to Julie.
Hello.
Hey, what are you having with us today?
So, I was trying to find some recipes for like a turtles themed like cocktail, but non-alcoholic because I don't really drink. And I couldn't really find one, so I made my own, and I'm calling it like the ooze. And like, watch this. Hold on, I have to do this on camera because it just looks really cool. It's like edible glitter, and I don't know if you can see. It's like just dripping down.
I love it. And it has a little murky ooziness on the bottom, just like
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
Right
It's
on.
basically like lemonade, lime juice, and some sparkling water, and some edible glitter. So why
Right
not?
on. Heck
And I brought
yeah.
some pizza as well because are you really watching a Ninja Turtles movie if you're not eating pizza? And just some little loaded cauliflower bites for added sustenance.
Excellent. Hey, it's nothing wrong with that. This sounds like some delicious noms. Fantastic. We have our
Yeah.
dynamic duo with us below here, but we're going to start off with Toni. Say hello, my friend.
Hi. Um, I should have been more in theme, but I'm not. So actually tonight having actually dessert, and this is like my low rent fondue. It's pineapples with sugar-free chocolate pudding. And yeah, it's my dessert. And
That
I
stuff
also
sounds
realized
delicious.
I didn't have the good sense to show up as a turtle, and I'm a little kitty cat. These are actually these are my work ears because there are some times when I just have a lot of sensory issues around my hair.
Uh-huh.
Pop these on in order to work, and they've just become like a normal part of like my daily life, and I'm like, I'm sticking with it. But I really do not realize like I had a really great opportunity. I actually have a Ninja Turtle mask hiding out in a bin somewhere, and I didn't think about it till right now.
See,
So
you just
good
have
on
some
Julie for being in theme because she's a professional. So
you have master splitter ears. Those are not cat ears. What are you talking about?
That's right. There you
Okay,
go.
I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying. Maybe it was a bad attempt on my part, but I at least did it. But thank you very much. Last but certainly not least, Rob, say hello, my friend.
How you doing, good sir? How you doing?
Long
Doing
time.
good.
Missed you.
I myself as well am munching on some dessert. I got myself some dark chocolate raisinets and found a gas station with the A&W cream soda. So I had to give myself some good A&W.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Fantastic. Well, first of all, I want to go ahead and try to get our popcorn buck rating so that I have a habit forgetting that. I don't need that to happen today. So, first of all, Julie, what would your rating be out of 5 popcorn buckets?
I'm gonna say 3 out of 5.
All right, 3 out of 5. Fantastic. Rob, my friend, what is yourself with your rating in the popcorn buckets?
As much as I want to give it a higher score, I have to give it a 2.
2. Copy that. Excellent. And Toni, what is your popcorn bucket rating?
I'm going right down the middle at 2.5.
2.5, right on. I myself has a 3.5, so I guess I'm like the gracious one today when it comes to it. I want to go ahead and get a little preface for the show. We're going to do this a little differently. Normally, I go ahead and go throughout the whole movie from start to beginning, or sort of beginning to end. Start to beginning. Geez, what am I doing? Anyway, and give a general outline, and we usually talk about the movie in time on our own pace. Today, I kind of want to give it a bridge version in a sense because the plot of the movie is kind of like point A to point B really quickly. And I would love to talk about the points, costume design, acting choices, plot points, and just kind of dive a little bit, even on some of our favorite turtles as well. Obviously, there are some cultural appropriation things in here we talk about. It's the 90s. I hate using it as an excuse, so I'm not going to use it as an excuse. We will bring it back and talk about that, obviously. I just want to give a preface and give an idea of what we may go through. So if it seems a little different today, fantastic. Please let us know how it goes. Also, I want to get a shout out to Q Ball over here. Good old Q. It's been a long time since I talked to my friend. He says also dialogue was a little bit dorky and derpy, but I love the costumes and the settings. Physical special effects are awesome. Let's see here. I'm trying to pronounce this correct. Is that Jesser? Jesser? Okay.
Yeah.
Toni, not Turtle Gear. That face.
Well, sorry for disappointing you, Jezzer. I really am.
Oh. Well, this started off pretty early with going into it. Let's talk about Turtle back in time. A couple references. First of all, if you look at all Ninja Turtle movies, you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2. Just before the number 3 that it came out, looking at audience ratings, interestingly enough, across the board, they range from anywhere from 75 to 86% on both of the films. However, if you go into their IMDb ratings, it's 6 out of 10, 5.5 out of 10, and number 3 coming at 4.6 out of 10. Now, the reason I'm making these references is because we already have something like a preface on already having standards in the having the films, and honestly, let's be real, TMNT comes to being nostalgia, concepts of being based off of comic books most of the time, and a toy line kind of coincided to be the big foundation establishment before even this came out too as well. So kind of crazy in general. So anyway, that being said, we have the red sun in the actual distance coming in, and we see what seems to be a great warrior in the distance. As the warrior is approaching from the background, you do see he's being pursued by 5 other samurai figures. I'm going to say samurai at the moment, but I'm sure it could be a version of runner warrior. Please correct me if I'm wrong later on. I will have no problem correcting that. But so I just want to make sure about Nom Talk Necro notification says the show's going on. Thank you. Anyway, that being said, so you see the chase scene gets to the point where it reveals the possible hero, revealing that he's of royalty, still masked in a sense, duking out with his pursuers, doing some interesting exchanges with swords, and we figure out the point that he is being pursued by technically not to be injured, but to be captured. Again, in sewing, we go back into the modern times, going back to see our turtles doing a little dance, introduction to the sewage, Master Splinter coming in, April O'Neil coming in with a bag of tricks going in from, I believe, some Goodwill hunting and shops. Turtles being enthusiastic. You have Donatello, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Now, I'm going to bring them up right now. We have to do this. Starting before we even get to this here, I have to ask you guys, do you guys have a favorite turtle? All right. And what? And if you do, and you have a reason, please let me know. Toni, I saw the excitement when you head over there. Can I start with you, or do you need a little thinking moment?
Here we go.
I'm so upset. I have one of my favorite plushies. It's a custom-made Leonardo plushie. And he actually has a little Velcro tab where his little katana just attaches right to his hand. And I didn't think... we were too busy trying to rewatch this movie so that it would be fresh and we would be and we could actually speak about this in a more like, and we weren't just recalling things. And I'm so mad that I have so much like turtle stuff like in my home right now, but it's literally in plastic bins still. But yes, Leonardo is my favorite. That's in huge thanks to 2007 TMNT. I did not grow up liking Leonardo. I was very much a Raphael girl. Loved Raph. I definitely loved the attitude, the sassiness. He's rude. And I just loved him until I saw 2007. I was firmly an adult. And that one sequence, that one fight between Raph and Leo completely shifted my entire view of Leonardo. And I finally empathized with him, like as an oldest child. I'm the oldest of 5. He's the oldest of 4. And all of a sudden, so many things about him and his personality. And I just realized like, oh my God, people just have not known how to write Leo in a really effective and compelling way until 2007, which is crazy. But yeah, as of right now, 2023, Leonardo is my favorite turtle.
Heck yeah, fantastic. I love the connection with that too, because I want to roll back a little bit. Hypothetically speaking, if our listeners are hearing, imagine the dark red sun in the background, samurai warriors, Leonardo duking it out, and a pause, because we have to talk about who our favorite turtles is. So we have a pause for a moment. I promise we'll get back to it. Rob, who is your favorite turtle?
See, I was always a Raph guy, very similar to Toni. Sass, gotta love the sass, gotta love the snark. I was an edgy teenager, wanted to be with the skateboarding guys. But as I grew up, I found an appreciation for Donnie. Donnie does not get the credit he deserves. Nobody gets anything accomplished. Leo is dealing with his daddy issues with Splinter. Raph is mad that he's not Leo. And Mikey is jealous because no one wants to take him seriously. But Donnie's just like, man, I'm just here to build stuff, help people out, do what I need to do. Can we all like get on the same page here? And I love that. He's the one guy just like, yo, can y'all just get your stuff together so we can do this already? And I love that. And he's the techie guy. and he gets to be the one who has emotions. And I'm like, oh, finally, a turtle that actually understands their emotions. So one of them actually went to therapy. Hey, I'll take one out of the 4.
I'm gonna briefly before I go to you, Julie. I want to go into comments as well. Again, Q Ball mentions my favorite hands down is Leo because I think he's fearless, logical, courageous, and level-headed. Toni Sanchez says I'm better than you. Changed my entire perspective on Leo, like you mentioned before. And Q Ball is like I can picture Rob as Raphael.
Oh, that is me anytime I have a debate on anything Star Wars related.
Julie, who's your favorite turtle?
Okay, so as a kid, I always loved Donatello, literally just because he was the purple one. Purple is my favorite color. It still is my favorite color to this day. But as a kid, like everything was about color for me. So I was like, yeah, he's the purple one. I like the purple one. But now, now as an adult, like I actually can appreciate him for a lot of the reasons that Rob was saying too. Like, yeah, he's kind of a smart one. He likes to build things, and I like to do that too. So, but I also have an appreciation for Mikey because he's just kind of the goofy one, and that's also me. Like comedian, he's kind of like always getting into some goofy gags and whatever. So yeah, so I would say like as an adult, it's probably a tie between the two of them.
Heck yeah. Right on, right on. I have an internal emotional conundrum because for me, and my selection is I feel like I have anxiety or ADHD every time I think about it. And because here's the deal. I immediately go with Julie's reasoning and I go with the color red with Raphael. Now, I was big fan of Raphael, but the problem with me was as a kid, as let's say as talkative as I am or as outgoing as I seem here and there, I don't and as well as I handle a confrontation, I hate it. I don't like it. And to me, I was like, Raph has always wanted to fight people, and I don't like it. I was kind of scare me out for a little bit. So then I started leaning a little bit after because I all my love came from the show in the '90s, and I understand that it came from the comic books, and then there was a big transformation and a pause because you have the two comics that wanted to stay level-headed and continue to do a storyline how they did from their own original content in the day, and then you also have the toy companies coming in saying, hey, we'll buy your merch, but you have to continue to base it off of characters and stuff. So there's a lot of crazy things, but my introduction to it was from the '90s films and then the cartoon that was before that in general. And then, oh my gosh, I love the video games. Anyway, that being said, I went back to a Leo route because he was like the level-headed one for a little while. And then for some odd reason, I immediately went back to going into Donatello because the tech concepts of it. Because I always liked my Game Boys. It's like, this is fantastic. In the end, I'm going to be real with you. In the end, it goes down to Mikey. I'm going to have to say Mikey. Reason being is because he essentially is not having issues with anything. He's just being a goof the whole way through. Mm-hmm. And at Rob, you hit it on the head, in my opinion. He's looked at as not taken seriously, and he has a chip on his shoulder with it, and he just wants to kind of be out there. And I get that.
And that's why he's trying to be so extra. If you look at it, his entire thing is cutting the tension. He's like, look, y'all are working too hard. Y'all are working too serious. We need to calm this down. We need to take this down a couple notches.
Nah, yeah, exactly. 100%. I agree with you on that comment too as well. I'm looking in here too as well because I'm also looking at some more comments. Let's see here. Jess, how would I say that? Is it Jess or Zeus on there or Jesse?
Jezzer.
Jezzer. Okay, Jezzer. Thank you. Guys. I don't want to make sure I'm not messing up. So Jezzer, I kind of skipped over some comments. I apologize. Says, goes back to Tony saying, I need to get you some turtle merch. I'm better than you. I trained to be better leader for you. Why do you hate me for that? And then going back and dispute to the other comments here, Cue Ball, just after he says, I can picture Rob as Raphael, he mentions that, but I can say for myself, I can relate to all four of them. Each personality is different from each other, but each personality is a mix of me anyway. And then Adjuster says, have y'all read The Last Ronin? We won't go into that right now because that's emotional roller coaster, and I don't want to go into about any additional things. So we won't. So hypothetically speaking, this actual film was based off of comic number 46 and 47, and ironically, a lot of the attire was taken. Also from The Last Ronin concept, which was a mixture to be a not. There's a whole crazy thing, and we'll give it an emotional. Oh my god, I want to talk about it right now, but eventually, because I got some toys incoming that'd be nice. Anyway, the point is, in general, once again, as you can tell, the whole cast has a mixed emotions of who their favorite turtle is. But in the end, I love how we all kind of related to multiple turtles in general. Now, with this here, I still want to call a pause on the red sun that we're looking at here. The reason why I'm saying that at the moment is because I want to also come from a perspective of what we're talking about. I know I mentioned the fact that the cartoons were my introduction. I know I mentioned the fact that, where they were in creation at the time, just before early in the 90s. I also want to reach out to you guys and see your perspective and so forth as well. Rob, I want to start with you, my friend. Technically speaking, what was your introduction to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3? Did you have any previous history with any of the other movies or the cartoons? What was your vibe and your age, and just how did you enjoy it?
I was born into a Turtles house.
Got it.
My father has had a original collection of original in-box Ninja Turtles action figures since before I was born. It's one of the very few items he held on to when my parents were broke and he had to sell all his toys. That was like one of the last sets. He's like, I'm gonna die with these. I'm gonna get buried with these.
Aww.
These things I'm fairly certain are older than I am. But no, Turtles have always been in my house. They've always been that thing. Me and my dad, my brother, it's always been my thing. My dad's always had Donnie. I had Raph. My brother had Mikey. So it's always been our family dynamic.
Kind of little turtle dynasty, so to speak, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like comics, the complete collection of the animated series, laser versions of those when they transitioned from VHS to laser, and then just on and on and on.
That's cool.
In the blood.
Heck yeah. Julie, may I ask you, around the time when you saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, did you have any knowledge of the two previous movies, the cartoons, the toy line, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I was a big fan of the first movie particularly. My brother actually was I sort of like absorbed Ninja Turtles through him, and we used to watch the Saturday morning cartoons, all that stuff, of course. And then yeah, my mom was like, "Oh, this new movie's coming out. I think you guys will really love it." So we watched that, and we had it on like this VHS tape, and I think we wore that thing out like of the first movie. And I have a very low recollection of the second movie, and I had an also vague recollection of the third movie. So I mean, I was glad I watched it again because I knew I watched them all because we were just fans, and I know we did. But like, I think we watched the third one like even further down the road from when it came out. Like it was much later, and like I was when I was watching, I was having these memories come back. Like I was like, I remember the time travel, and like okay, I remember like I specifically remember the scene where like they come back and they're all like in their underwear or whatever. Like I remember like those like just little bits and pieces had stuck out to me. But yeah, the first one was the one for me. Judith Hoag will always be my April O'Neil. No, no shade to Paige Turco. Like I got a new appreciation for her watching this movie again. But I love Judith Hoag. Like I don't know if that's how you say her last name, something like that. But
no. Oh, hold on a minute, my friends. We had some redeeming points, meaning hydrate. So if you got it, drink it, my friends. Thank you very much. Hydrate, don't hydrate.
Cheers.
I couldn't even make sure that my stupid sippy cup was green or anything. Like I'm not winning here tonight, guys.
Toni, you're amazing. We love you.
We even have the Dynaco cup.
So, just to let you know, Toni, another set of points were redeemed. You, my friend, have to be so punny. So you come up with a pun on the spot if you don't mind. It could be anything. It could be related to turtles, unrelated, a joke you know. Don't feel too stressed.
The hands.
My mind immediately went, what's a pun?
Question. Here's the deal. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and let you know my introduction to turtles real quick here and let you come up with a pun. So we'll have it when we go ahead and ask you about your connection with turtles. Is that okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Excellent. So real quick here, I have told you guys already about the toys and so forth as well. The one thing I found interesting though is there has been some mixed emotions. A lot of things are bolder, like I admit, like heavy. There's no denying. There's tons of borderline cultural appropriation. But the weird thing was, at the time being, when they came out with Ninja Turtles, they had the Ronin figures at the time the movie number 3 was released. They had a astronaut one that was Raphael, I believe, or it was either Raphael or I think it was Raphael or Mikey. And then Mikey happened to have a sombrero and he was in a poncho. And the thing was, it looked kind of cool at the time being, but now you look at it, it was like your typical cultural appropriation of what a Hispanic Mexican male would look like at that time. It was like you looked at it, you're like, but they're cool toys, and a lot of people liked them because there was nothing with POC representation on them. So a lot of them were like, this is really great, and they were like, wait, is that? Wait, that's not. It was one of those things that was weird because I had two of the Ninja Turtle Ronin characters. I believe one was I think one was Mikey or Donnie, and the other one was either the other two. I hate saying it like that, but for sure both had masks. Even one had the staff that actually transported them in time. Really cool now I think about it, one of those things. But my introduction was through the cartoons. 90s. It was GI Joes, Transformers, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Street Sharks came shortly afterwards when things got a little off a little on the streetwise. You got to tell that TMT was definitely an inspiration by them and so forth. But I have to say that was my main thing too. Toni, before you get to history, you got some puns there for you?
Yes, I think.
Okay, hit us with it.
I think. Well, I was gonna talk about how I was the target demographic for I was like 3 years old when the animated cartoon came out. My little brother, who's only a year younger than me, he had like I think 4 Halloweens where my mother made him a Ninja Turtles costume, a homemade, an amazing. And me, I got to go as Green with Envy because I did not
Oh,
get a Ninja Turtles costume because my mother believed that it was a boy's costume. So Green with Envy counts, I think, as a pun. So
okay.
I'm sorry. I just really panicked and I immediately was
okay.
like, I don't know what a pun is.
It's okay. No, you're good. We'll accept that right now. And if Q wants to do it, I'll go ahead and take one for the team. But also do it. No, please don't apologize. You're good. It's all good. No, on that note, want to look into the comments here. After the comment have y'all read The Last Ronin? Once again, Jezer. And that puts me most roaster cluster. Cue Ball says, if you look at Raphael, he's the most stubborn out of the 4. I get that he's wanted to prove to Splinter and Leo that he's the better fighter and a leader than Leo, but sometimes his own arrogance gets him and the team in deep shit. You're not wrong, man. Yeah, I tell you that sometimes that unlevel-headedness it kind of gets a little iffy on there too as well. I also have to ask a question here, guys. Do you prefer the modern Casey Jones with long hair or French Casey Jones with a shaved head? Any preference there?
Do you want me to chime in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm always gonna love long hair Casey Jones, but I was going to comment on that fact that like Elias Codius, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah.
The actor, like he got his chance to shine in this movie because like holy crap, like he's not even the same person. Like you're just like that's him, but like he's completely like acting, like you're like wow, okay, he actually has some acting chops because like he convinced me. I was like, I literally because like from Casey Jones, who is like such a personality, like this like kind of like stoner surfer type personality, and like he's like this proper British guy, and you're just like what? Like,
I gotcha. So
that was really fun for me to like because I had completely forgotten about that. And I was like, oh yeah, I was because I think that was like mainly what he was known for at the time was Casey Jones, and like so you've never seen him in much else, and then it's like, oh, he gets this chance to like become this other character, and I was just like, okay. So it was fun seeing him like do a British accent, but I think I'm always gonna like the long hair Casey Jones.
I respect that. Toni, long hair, short hair?
Long hair, definitely.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, the lace front was working in this movie. The blowout was beautiful. Elias Koteas never looks the same from project to project. Like, especially like I think it was like the first couple of years that I was watching this movie because of course it was on VHS in my house. I had no clue that what April was saying when they're in the dungeon was Casey. I could not understand what she was saying because it didn't strike me that that's the same person at all. And it wasn't until I was old enough to start reading the credits where I'm just like, wait a damn minute, there's no way. Yeah. So I literally went like a good like few years before I realized that was actually him. And that's because he looks drastically different. And when you actually start looking up his career, and you start looking him up because he's one of these guys that sort of pops up, from here to there, especially in these, bit parts on television, and some film stuff. He looks so drastically different depending on what he's wearing, if they've given him a hat, the facial hair, what his hair is doing, if he's starting to gray. Like, it's incredible how much of a chameleon he is. And I think that's a big reason why we don't really regard him as like a star, not because of his talent, but because he literally just disappears from one role to the next.
Heck
That's
yeah.
a fair point. Yeah.
It's kind of like Bale. Whenever Bale's doing something, it always just, that's a different dude. He's just.
But I know that that's Newsy's Bale, even when he's watching Batman. I know that. I know that I remember him singing Santa Fe. Like, that still looks like the same face, but.
Let Santa Fe go. Let Santa Fe go. He's moved on from Santa Fe.
Yeah, but completely. When he just has the hair and it's the same, like, I'm like, that's Casey Jones. That will forever be Casey Jones.
There you go. All right. Speaking of that as well, Rob, long hair, short hair, my friend.
See, I like the short hair because I loved Stephen Amell's version of Casey Jones so much. But I'm a purist.
I saw that look, Tony.
Casey, I'm a purist. I don't think you got to give him to be long hair, man. Long New Yorker, greasy, ready to fight someone in an alleyway.
All right.
Just rolled out of a trailer park, Casey Jones.
I'm gonna be real with you. I got to OG. I mean, French was impressive. I get it, a little different character, but Tony made an excellent point. Julie, you mentioned this earlier. He had his time to shine. Different character, and it felt like he was a different person in general, especially with his acting chops. What he's usually at, whether he is, like I mentioned before, a Boston cop, a New York thug, anything that he typically does. It's always there. He was even like a couple father figures over the disgruntled office worker stuff. It was just crazy. So seeing him doing the transitions definitely shows that his acting range is huge. But I agree with all of you. The long hair in OG is the choice to go to. Now, that being said, going into back of this off pause button, because the reason why I wanted to say this is we have our ratings up there. And if we say things coming into this film that are critiquing the film, it's coming from a fan perspective and somebody that has, passion behind it. I just wanted us to go ahead and express that already in it too as well. So we just, if something comes off, people don't see like, what the heck is going on? Hold on, wait a minute. I feel a disturbance in the force. There is. The Kurt Bros says, bruh. Just want to go ahead and read that. Shout out to Kurt. How's it going, my friend? I'm sorry. I sensed a little bit of. I'm sorry. I felt this Kurt vibes, and I was like, I gotta respond quick. All right. So that being said, going into Unpause, the Big Red Sun. Here we go. We figure out who the Warriors are. I told you. Fast forward. April O'Neil brings up appearance. You see Master Splinter, 4 level Turtles doing their thing. Mikey getting, of course, the goofy present in general with a little Hawaiian style lampshade. You have Donatello getting his little tech savvy concepts. Leonardo getting his little magazine, and I think Raphael getting some additional stuff. Wait, what did Raphael get in that trip? You guys remember? I'm getting blank. What he got?
Fedora.
But he wasn't there.
Thank you.
He never actually got it, I don't think.
Thank you. That she was there. I just had brain fire. I
appreciate that. Fedora, I think.
Yep. No, because April goes like, I got it for Raph, but Raph's already in his room.
Yeah.
He puts it back in the bag, and that's when they start unwrapping. They grab the.
Right. Thank you. Exactly. And at this transition, we see the Turtles and who they are and just the background. And honestly, I think the quality of the film. Just a side note of it, it turned out to be actually a $17 million budget. And they actually, if I got this correct.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was looking at a couple things right here. And
did they actually film some of it in Japan? Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah, actually, I was looking at this right now. And technically,
because I guess if they did that would make sense for part of the budget, because that shooting on location is probably not cheap.
See, that's the weird thing though, because it's technically the country's released and so for the United States and Hong Kong, and technically speaking, it was supposedly 17 million with $21 million front budget that actually showed up, but the box office hit it with a $50.4 million a receiving concept. So it definitely met what it met the box office. You look at the critics and look at the actual fan base, and honestly, it has a decent amount of cult following. Side note, I just want to let you guys know, Corey Feldman actually got to re-voice actually his role in a turtle on here. Technically, they apologized for not casting him in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. So when he was casted and brought back now, unfortunately, he claimed, and I don't know, because there's people that have their highs and lows, and unfortunately I believe he was going through a bad drug habit at the time being, and so they reported that he only got $1,500 for the role. I don't know if there's if it's like $1,500 per 8-hour shift. The whole point is that people are underpaid. I'm never gonna argue against that. So let's get real. People just get underpaid all the time. All right, Kurt also brings in redemption of hydrate, my friends. So please get it, drink it if you have it. Hydrate, don't dehydrate.
Cheers.
Thank you, Kurt. We appreciate you. We have going in here. Oh, Kurt says, how y'all doing? We're doing pretty good, my friend. Talking about a little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, hypothetical stepchild of the 3 films. But we're having fun speaking about it. Talk about, get our opinion, join us. Experience the loveliness. So that being said, we have a moment coming into looking and dealing with here. Kurt, we miss you too. I'm sorry, I have to I just miss everybody. So that being said, we're going into the vibe of all 4 turtles, Master Splinter. We're getting the vibe of each turtle back to, kind of idea. They do the whole classic thing, naming each turtle as they go to, so you can figure out who they are. Realistically speaking, I had to do a review for them, and I was like, oh my God, I have to make sure I get all these turtle names correct. But at that time, let's go into talking about the staff. Mystically appears in April's hand. And then she then disappears into this other alternative concept, because she gets let's be real, it doesn't mystically just appear in her hand. I understand that, but the likelihood of finding the dang thing, it's just, to me, it's not mystic. I get it. But she then gets transported in time with actually, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. The actor stuff's driving me nuts here. Let me go over here. I don't want to butcher anybody's name. Here's the cast list. But we are going to go ahead and temporarily name him Prince, considering in the whole concept of the reign here, because we find out that he's actually son of the warlord that has been trying to go ahead, or he has the title of Lord. I'm sorry, I'm being careful, because technically speaking, his armor and everything reflects differently, which I'm going to mention a little earlier too as well. Please, guys, chime in on this in regards to costume design if you want to as well. Even though some of the things were impressive, things I've mentioned before that with the costume design, that a lot of the kimonos were actually folded improperly. So that's kind of insulting. I don't know. I'm not gonna go here and there with that, but there has been a major a complaint with some of the actual costuming. But that being said, we have April O'Neil that gets transported in time, switches positions, what I call the person, the prince. They both have stellar experiences. One, the fact that the turtles are trying to figure out why he is repping, a leather jacket coming into the white tea-stained shirt, and the fact that he speaks out the concept of calling him this name that we'll go into a little later, because he's surprised, seeing the turtles and Master Splinter. Going into the concept that she's actually in their world, shows up in his form of dress, which kind of psychs me out, because I'm thinking, not only do these guys see, April O'Neil in this actual technically male attire, but they also see legs exposed and arms exposed when the rest of the people around there has a lot covered in general. So I'm like, man, there's some stuff going on here that they're kind of confusing to some extent. But I'm not saying people didn't expose things. I'm just saying it's fine. It's just fascinating what things got upset for and here there. Now, I'm going to put this here in this crazy concept of this first 20 minutes. All right. I want to reach out to you guys, Rob. So here we are, classic chasing scene, the red sun. We find out who the turtles are, where they are at this point in time, figure out who the individual is being chased. Fast forward, April O'Neil, Prince, they get switched, and here we are in a conundrum. How are you feeling? How are you feeling like this first 20 minutes? Is there any confusion at this point? I want to see your first, pretty much your general opinion of the film in these 20 minutes.
Why is Donnie so oblivious to everything going on? Immediately jumped down the movie's throat. I love what I love is the classic cheesiness of it. You can tell from the moment that the camera is turned on and you have the first frame in there. They're like, we are steering the SS Cheese, and we are going to sink this ship, and we're going down with it. And I love that dedication to it. However, you have to mark the flaws in the cheese. And the fact that somehow Donnie is just almost as goofy as Mikey is just like, what's going on? What is happening? What is happening? What is happening around us? But I love it, and I also love that you can tell that Raph just is still on the thing of, I want to be a human. I want to go out there. Sorry.
No, you're good, buddy. Make sure you're alive. It's all good. Take a hydrate break. Get that cream soda. Make sure you breathe. I am okay with that.
But no, it's just, I love the intro. I love how it's basically a Full House montage.
Heck yeah, fantastic. No, I agree. That's an excellent point about Donnie. I never really thought about that. That's a really fantastic point. Tony, my friend, the first 20 minutes of this crazy Turtles Back in Time conundrum, how are you feeling about the whole thing?
I was actually, we just rewatched this before we jumped on here, and I was struck by it being better than I remembered. I remember I remember the goofy bits. That's what stuck with me. But when I rewatched it tonight, I was struck by how gorgeous the scenes in the past are in Japan. I was struck by, the cinematography. There's great movement, to the camera. I clearly understand what the dynamics are pretty quickly between the daimyo, his son, this weird colonizing warmonger, Walker, who, by the way, is, I think, a very underrated villain, not just within
oh my God, I love
franchise, but just movies in general, because I'm just like, damn, he's good at this. He sucks a lot, like as a person. But this actor,
you want to love to hate him. He has the kind of face you want to punch.
Oh yeah,
every single line. He knows exactly where he needs to be in order to just achieve maximum effect. And I'm just like, man, this is better than I remember it. And then we get to New York, and it's pretty clear that there is a push and a pull between the original source material, which is a pretty, I don't want to say somber, but it's fairly mature. And what was happening within the larger pop culture landscape, which was a very goofy, silly, over the top kids franchise. So you can kind of see that they're trying to, one, make sure that they're not pissing off the original creators too badly, by still trying to ground as much as, what they can, which is the stuff that doesn't directly involve the Turtles. And they're making the Turtles even more, because I'm pretty sure this is also around the time. Does anybody have the dates of the Pizza Hut tour? These new suits and heads look a lot like the Pizza Hut tour suits and heads. They're very vibrant. They're very technicolor. And I don't really have as much of an issue as I thought I was going to have, just because, again, I'm a product of that time. I was fully one of those indoctrinated kids who just would have, me and my brother made my mom buy anything and everything. We had Ninja Turtle cereal in the house on the regular. So like, we were those people. But Splinter puppet, it's a little country bear jamboree. You can definitely hear the clicks going on in the mouth and the eyeballs. But other than that, I just was really thrown by like how it's better than I remember. But my chief complaint throughout this movie is how I don't like when any of the turtle properties start to treat the turtles all as one character, and that they're interchangeable, especially when they are so clearly defined within their archetypes. It's like, it even says so in the kids' theme song. Like,
we just went through
one's rude, one's the fun guy, and one's the sciencey nerd. Like, we clearly understand that. But I just was struck by like, why is it that it's Mikey putting on the shorts because he's being super considerate because he doesn't want the other person that's going to show up in his place
to
be naked in a cold subway station. And I'm like, why is that not Donatello like throwing shorts to his brothers? Like, that's crazy to me, but I get why, because it's a funny thing, and Mikey does all the funny things. But then again, it's like Mikey is the one to say like, hey, does this mean that we got to go back and get April again? Why is that Mikey saying that? But I guess it just goes to show that Mikey is the most considerate and emotionally articulate of the four. Which is crazy, but I do love that, because Mikey doesn't get a lot of the credit that he's owed, but it just feels a little off when the other times that you can take to really distinguish them from each other. It's like Leo really doesn't do anything that's super heroic until halfway through the film when he saves Yoshi's life by giving him CPR. And it's like, yeah, that feels like a Leo thing. He would make sure that he was CPR certified, even though he's not human himself. Like that feels like the oldest brother thing to do. But everybody else, like, they don't take as many opportunities to make sure that they are clearly defined. And so all these instances, I guess, to really like round out Mikey, especially, just kind of feel like you didn't want to give that to Donatello or to Leo or to Raph. So now you're just giving them to Mikey. But that's my only real complaint. But yeah, I largely, despite my down the middle of the line rating, I do enjoy this movie. I think it's fun. I think it's a lot better than I remember. There's just some things that, especially when you line it up against the other films, and I think that's why my rating is so low. If this had just been some like B, C list 80s movie or early 90s movie, and even if this hadn't been attached to any turtles, if this had just been like 4 martial arts students get teleported back in time, I'd probably be telling everybody about it. Like, man, you got to see, like, Ninjas Back in Time in 1993. You got to see this movie. It's amazing and fantastic.
I would argue that this movie would have stood just a bit more stand of a chance if they would have just changed the name. Instead of it being Turtles 3, Turtles Back in Time, change it to like the Mikey movie. Something where it's like a direct-to-DVD. Hey, this is like the Tow Mater Adventures with the Cars movies. Like,
Jesus.
This is the Mikey adventure. Like, everyone else is kind of tagging along. But we're really going to hone in on Mike.
What the heck? Sorry about that. Even 1 second, technical difficulties. That was strange.
Oh.
Can you guys hear me? Perfect. Excellent.
Yeah.
So real quick here, I heard you. I just want to make sure everything's okay. I heard the whole thing you were talking about. Thank you, Rob. Just my camera and mic went off for a brief moment. Now, on that side note, Julie, I'm going to go to you as well and your opinion the first 20 minutes. But
yeah, first
guys?
20. Are you? Yeah, I can't.
We can hear you.
Okay,
hear
so
you, but
all right, so I got the camera back on. So
okay.
I want.
You keep freezing.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no!
Can you guys hear me though?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay,
Yes.
so audience members, thank you for actually being temporary bringing here. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk like this until we figure out what's going on with the camera. But let's go on here. Q redeemed a poll. Which franchise was better in the 90s, Batman or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? In your opinion, going on there, let's just act that we are not Teenage Mutant Turtles fans right now. Let's put this up that we're equivalent, both Turtle fans, and let's go in to say that we are both Batman fans. Okay. So, Rob, I'm going to start with you. Teenage Mutant Turtles or Batman?
I love the Turtles. I love them. I think they were great. I think they were a cultural wave.
Okay, perfect. But you got to lean towards it. Oh, but okay, listening.
Batman run, when that hit the theaters and the restaurants and the toys and the clothes, and if you could throw a Batman logo on there or a Keaton sticker on there, it was getting sold and people were buying it.
Okay.
There has never been anything like the summer that Batman movie came out, and it just took over everything.
So question. So long story short, Batman then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to. I always because I want to go here because I don't want to run over too much time. We gotta.
Nothing took over like that Batman movie did. When that Batman summer came out, nothing took over like it.
Okay, I got you. Okay. Also, just a side note, Julie, we're not forgetting going into your opinion with 20 minutes on here. I just want to make sure we don't forget that at all. But on that note, Julie, Batman or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
That's such a hard one. I also feel like even though they were both targeted towards like similar demographics, I want to say that Batman was maybe like a little bit older.
Okay.
Because like just in general, because I feel like Turtles like was safe for like real young kids to watch, you know? And I feel like Batman, so it's kind of a little bit like different things in my opinion, but
okay.
God, I mean Keaton Batman and Batman and Robin, I think I'm gonna say
Batman?
I'm gonna say Batman.
Okay, cool, no problem. Before we go into so your 20 minutes, we'll go to talk about the film. Tony, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Batman?
So Batman never went on tour and serenaded me with pop rock hits. So Turtle.
Ninja Turtles.
That's
Okay,
true.
okay.
That's true.
I'm gonna round this on and say I'm a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Batman's fascinating. I love the '90s cartoons and so forth as well. But we're gonna actually have to say Teenage Mutant Turtles is our thing. So, Q, we see a clear line in the middle of 2 for Batman and 2 for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. On that note, Q Ball threw in a cool comment, his opinion, thinking, "Hey, Tony, I think you're Leo. Julie, I think you're going to be Donatello. Rob, I think you're Raphael, and Alex, I think you're Mikey." That's his opinions on that. I appreciate you doing that as perspective. I like
I
that.
support all these.
I can see a little essence of everybody in there. I like that. I like that. Thank you very much, and thank you great for that awesome poll. That was great. Now, on that note, here we are. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. We're going to go a little bit over the time on this concept here, but fast forward, going back into your comment on the first 20 minutes of where we're at right now for you, Julie, in this organized chaos of 2 individuals being transferred in time, seeing the 2 points of modern time and I believe Japan as well. How are your feelings in the first 20 minutes?
Yeah, wow. Well, yeah, I mean, so immediately, we got the cool opening like that takes place in Japan, and then of course you got the turtles with their classic dance number, like, and that just immediately throws me into like, okay, this is a 90s turtles movie, like immediately, like this is what I want from it. This is exactly what I would expect. Like they're just going and doing their little like choreographed dance number, and I always had so much fun with those. Like I think that's particularly what I liked about the live action turtle movies, is that they weren't afraid to go for that like campiness. um because like while the cartoon was cheesy, the live action movies like took that to a level of like, yeah, we're just gonna do a choreographed dance number in these turtle costumes. And I just love watching that. So yeah, and then you've got like April O'Neil coming in, who in my opinion, Paige Turco is sort of like I think she's supposed to be like the more like fun April O'Neil, whereas Judith Hoag was kind of like the more serious like reporter April O'Neil. And the vibe I get from this one, and is particularly in this movie, is that she's like, yeah, I'm the fun one. She comes in wearing leather jacket and sunglasses, and like, she came back from the flea market, and like,
not a regular reporter. She's a cool reporter.
Yeah, exactly. She's a cool reporter. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but you get that like that whole fun vibe from that first section of the movie, and then the time travel. I mean, like Tony was saying earlier, the special effects are awesome for the 90s. You're just like, whoa. And yeah, and then it leaves me just kind of being like, oh boy, they've gotten themselves in a conundrum this time. What are they gonna do? So that's pretty much where I was at.
Right on, right on. So I'm going to get a little short abridged version of the rest of the film, and we're going to actually go ahead and insert some opinions of where we're at, and towards the end to give our final thoughts as well. Also, this is not going to be all done in one statement, just explaining where the short abridged version is going to come from and where we're going to come off with our opinions afterwards. That being said, so here we actually had the 2 transportation time. We then figure out, obviously, the turtles are trying to figure out, okay, cool. We figured out that April is in this point in time, and you're from Japan. Oh my God, you can speak English because you're actually well educated in the area too. So in the communication they're having with some of the areas, we understand that they come up with the concept of transporting into another of all the turtles in time to present area where April is. And then in that exchange, we see that the honor guard gets actually transported in back to the turtle lair with Master Splinter and also Casey Jones. My opinion was kind of smart to leave Casey Jones back there just in case people are like, how do you know they were going to act and treat Splinter right, and so forth as well. In reality, we did see the fact that Master Splinter was kind of like the little middle person speaking into the warriors and so forth in Japanese native tongue, and in general explaining it. They even thought it was crazier because he's a giant rat speaking native tongue in general. But as we can see, there is a craziness exchange because April, when she's actually transporting her time, he gets mistaken for a witch, where we're introduced to the European colonizers that are also trying to sell rifles to, or trying to convince to sell rifles to, this current dynasty of theirs. In this area, you see that the Princess Transformed was like, nah, I don't want this. I'm on the side of the rebels, which she brings the local townspeople that are being treated unfairly in local surrounding areas, which also leads to a badass chick that leads the rebellion that's there too as well. Now, we figure out in this time that in the craziness, Mikey gets sidetracked because when they get transferred as the honor guard in their place on the horses, he somehow goes backwards off in the area and gets knocked off in trees and gets caught by the rebellions. We understand understand that in the discovery of the leader of the rebellion, sees that he looks like someone that they consider someone to come back and save their people. Side note, only disagreement I have with the whole thing is they're bringing in, turtle saviors. The only exception I'm doing it though is because like it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They always have some kind of crazy thing they're doing, so that's my only exception for it. Other than that, I don't like the whole savior complex of some things. Sometimes that's my only disagreement. Excuse me. Here, there. Once again, excuse me. Now, well, I want to make sure
Hydrate,
that I
my
don't
friend. Hydrate.
hydrate. Don't dehydrate. That being said, we are here at a point where there's many points where there's toxic forms of masculinity. Understand that think April is a witch in general. Treating her aggressively, the only thing that keeps her safe at the moment is the fact that she has her Walkman that hits the ground, saying that she put tiny little people in there and that she has no problem with doing that to them if they mess with her. And they ended up putting her in a dungeon where she finds, hey, it's French Casey Jones. And she notices that, in that, situation that she's stuck there, that she sees him and she's trying to figure out what's going on. There's some of the European soldiers that come on. Oh, she's a lady. Let's go mess with her on occasion, poke her with a stick and suggest sexual, comments and here and there. And you have these situations where obviously you're back in this time. Now it's a mixture of crazy, crazy stuff. Going back into the modern time, noticing that the Warriors are having their fun in general. First, it was unknown, but they find out that Casey Jones teaches about hockey. And at the same time, they're going to the malls and understanding, doing phones. And Casey Jones, as much as wants to show them like hockey, that there's still forms of respect amongst the Gardens in general. They fight each other and not him when he's trying to show, what's going on, which I find that a fascinating concept as well. At this point, you do see the Turtles actually have about 3 different fights with not only the actual Dynasty Warriors, and they also have misunderstandings with the Rebellion because they're dressed in actual Honor Guard gear, so they think they're actually the Honor Guard gear a couple times. So I honestly have 3 different possible fight scenes that actually go out there, which I'm fairly impressed with the actual martial artists that are in Jim Henson puppets doing this whole thing. So it's just nuts. That being said, short, really fast to the point, we get to the situation where Rob, Tony, and Julie, you guys all mentioned this. What the heck is Donatello acting so clueless about time travel? He's supposed to be the tech guru. He resorts to a blacksmith and respects him on some things. He seems to be totally clueless about the whole situation and non-helpful in a sense. Really quick thing on a side note. We come to the conclusion that somehow the stuff starts switching hands because an OG little boy has been really cool with Raphael on some anger tantrums here and there, which Tony, you mentioned, is saved later on in a CPR situation, which his mother, the leader of the rebellion, somehow thinks the storyline kind of throws me off a little bit. She's like, oh my God, he's going to cast a demon on him. My only thing is that why are you complaining about that now when he literally saved your ass 3 different times? I blame the writing. I don't blame her. So, but like I said, there's little things that are here and there. You do understand that the connection between the rebellion and the Turtles is a little bit more understanding. You then have understanding that the Honor Guard doesn't want to leave Casey Jones because they really love what's going on, especially one individual doesn't want to leave because they just love the world around them. Mikey doesn't want to leave the current times over there in Japan because he actually falling in love with the actual the rebellion leader. Raph doesn't want to go because he thinks the boy is teaching him how to be level-headed because he's hot-headed himself. So you have 2 of the Turtles that want to go stay there, 2 of the Turtles that want to leave. So there's a lot of emotional trying to find oneself going on. We figure out that the French Casey Jones takes off of April. April is like, nah, you don't want to do this. So all this crazy thing is going on. All these epic fights happen. And we find out that there's an all switch and they get switched back. Now, the reason why I'm really quick to saying this right now is we have a lot to talk about. I just want to give the short, abridged version. Honestly, it's about 45 minutes to an hour of hectic craziness. And for the audience members that are listening, thank you so much for your patience. For my fellow guests that are listening, thank you so much for bearing with me. Now, that being said, there was a chaotic 45 minutes. I want you guys to tell me how you felt as much as you want. Don't worry about the time. Don't feel rushed. However, I'm going to start with Julie right now because you so patiently waited for all 3 of us in things to go to your portion of the first 20 minutes of the film through 2 amazing polls. So, my friend, how are you feeling in the last 45 minutes, an hour left of this film? This chaotic chaos that's going on, it could be anything, the cost of it, your ultimate feelings about anything and everything. How does it feel?
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I have to say, like, yes, chaotic is a good word for it because, yeah, just a lot happens. Like, I have to say, I mean, props for like keeping the action moving because I don't feel like there was ever like a down period where you're just like nothing's happening. Let me go to the bathroom now, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but I will say, in all that chaoticness, I do feel like there wasn't a lot of like backstory developed on a lot of those plot lines or the feelings of the turtles. Like for instance, like the romance or whatever between Michelangelo and Mitsu. Like, I don't feel like that was really super developed. Like, he just had like a little crush on her. To me, like when he said he wanted to stay in Japan because of her, I'm like, but isn't she in love with what's his face, the prince?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, and also like, do you think you have a shot with her after just knowing her for like 5 minutes? Like, I don't know. I just felt like that wasn't super developed. And then Raphael's relationship with Yoshi, again, I think he had like 2 interactions with him total. And I'm like, and also there's some weird little things too where like I thought that they all knew who Yoshi was when, and then he picks up and is like, hey, who are you? And he's like, wait, don't you know this is the kid that you rescued out of the burning building? Weren't you there? So I was a little confused with some of that. Yeah, there's some things like I that. I think I would have liked to see more of their relationship with Yoshi because I thought that was cute, like, that they had a soft spot for this kid and stuff. But like, all of them had like 5-second interactions with this kid, and then we're like all of a sudden just attached to him, and I'm like, yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more of that.
I get that.
Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, literally, I went into this movie just like because I don't think I've watched it since I was a kid. So I watched it again, recently to prepare for this, and like, I think I went into it just being like, all I want out of this movie is for it to be fun because that's what you expect from a 90s live action Ninja Turtle movie. And I think it was. I think it was fun. Like, I liked the fight sequences. Like, I liked the characters were fun. Like I said, that I don't feel like they got as much character development as they did in the other movies, but it was still fun. It was still fun to watch.
Totally.
And, it was a fun premise. Like, time travel is always a fun premise. And then you want to see how they're going to get their way out of it. So, yeah, I guess that would be my main
Right on. No, that's okay. No, okay, fantastic. Okay. Toni, in the chaotic 45 minutes to hour left of the actual film, I understand there was a lot of plot twists and so forth. What's your general feelings of it? And go at it, shoot at it, go from the hip.
Yeah, there's not a lot developed here. It's just sort of, from one thing to the next to the next to the next. And we get it. Like, this is just to kind of like say, like, gee, I wonder what would happen if we put the Ninja Turtles back in feudal Japan to face other samurai. And forgive me if I'm so not well versed enough on Japanese history, certainly not samurai history. I have no idea if I'm even using the word samurai correctly, if this is even the time period or what the difference between honor guard versus samurai versus, any of it. So I get what they're trying to do, but I think the main problem that I have is that they take the trouble to place these guys back in feudal Japan. And the only people that are ever shown to be on the same skill level as the Turtles are the people that went back to New York to hang out with Master Splinter, Casey Jones. So we never get to see them really have like a proper fight. We get to see them, quasi fighting, the mostly, the villagers, that are part of the rebellion. We get to see some small things here and there at that very final battle at the castle. But mostly, it's a Ninja Turtles fight, especially after the cartoons. I mean, it's full of gags. This is not 1990, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where there was like, some really impressive fight choreography going on, especially when you consider the fact that, it's martial artists that are within these very heavy latex and foam suits. Yeah, and even just, what they're able to accomplish, because you can tell at the flexibility of these suits, because this is a different company than the Jim Henson company. I believe it's like All Effects or something. I do forgive me if I'm butchering that name or misremembering it.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you can just tell that it's just not as it looks great in a pose. Like anytime these guys like pose, it looks gorgeous. It looks great. But the minute you start to make them move, you can start to see some of the limitations that are there in the mobility. So I think all of that just kind of, again, if this were a movie that had just been like, you guys heard about this Ninja Turtles movie back in time? They're like, Ninja Turtles movie. Like there were plenty of those movies in the late 80s, early 90s, where it was just random, really weird sci-fi fantasy films that were made once and never made again. There were no sequels to speak of. And now we talk about them as like cult classics. Like we'd probably be sitting here like, this movie's brilliant. It's fucking across the board. But because this is stacking up against a lot of other movies that had better suits, better heads, better fight choreography, and definitely wasn't influenced by a very younger fan base. And it actually, same thing happened with the Ghostbusters franchise. That's why there's such a huge tonal difference between, the original Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. So I just think that there's a lot of things that ultimately, if I'm just watching this movie for what it is objectively within a vacuum, this is a great time. It's a lot of fun. But the minute that I start reintroducing it within the landscape of 1993, the Ninja Turtles franchise, the sci-fi and comic book franchise in general, like that's when that score starts coming down from that 4 out of 5, and then we get down to a 2.5 out of 5. But yeah, ultimately, I think it's a lot of fun, even though a lot of the things that are happening make no sense. Why is Yoshi at the site of a battle at the end only to say goodbye to his very special friend Raphael?
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my head around that one at all either. But it's just things like that are just like they're only trying to create these moments. They're not really worried about the logic that it takes to get there, which you know what, I can respect that up to a point, but also because of the tonal difference, it's like it wants to take itself seriously, especially when it's, there's a lot of care taken, even for a $17 million budget. There is a lot of care, especially within the camera work. Some of these shots are just beautiful and gorgeous. And then you get to things like, for example, when Walker falls off the platform at the very end, and he just completely, instead of falling into the water, he just disappears altogether. And then you have that splash sound effect. So there's two complete sides of the spectrum that are being manifested in this movie of like, we care a lot, we really want to make a good movie, versus no one's gonna care, it's a Ninja Turtles movie. So I'm torn, which is why ultimately I end up right down the middle. For as many things as I love about this movie, there are many things where I'm just like, oh, why would you do that? Why would you do that? So, a conflicted fun time is basically how I feel.
I like that. A conflicted fun time. That is like a fantastic.
Not even jumping into any of the issues
I like
that you mentioned about appropriation.
I just, Jesus Christ.
Inaccuracies.
Oh my Lord. I love it. Conflicted fun time.
That's a great term. Yeah, I have to agree with that.
All right. Rob, what are you feeling, my friend, in this organized, chaotic chaos of 45 minutes and an hour remaining of the film? What are your opinions, my friend?
You can tell that they had great intentions with this movie, but were limited on budget. That if this movie were a $75-100 million movie, we would not be having this conversation. This conversation would have been, dude, do you remember that run of Turtles movies back from the 90s that literally ran our entire childhood? Because you can tell this whole movie was written with the mindset of, okay, hey, we're going to bring in Usagi. We're going to bring in Usagi as a side character. We're going to go deeper into the Turtles lore. This is going to be perfect. We're going to get him. And then they came back with the budget. We're like, yeah, we're going to have to get rid of that. That looks like, we've just got a movie about some turtles going back in time. We make that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can make that. And it's not a bad thing. It's a very good movie. I am a fan of cheesy film. Toni will tell you, I am a massive fan of cheesy. If it's got a 2 or lower,
producer Steph would agree with you in my taste too.
Watch it. I love it. However, this one, it is really cheesy when you sit it next to 1 and 2 that just had that much more money behind it, that much more quality, that much more to it. It's not to make number 3 less. It's just it's not as good. It's just it's in a different category. You have to think cinema versus direct to DVD. This is very much firmly in that direct to DVD category.
I have to agree.
It somehow
see that.
manages to be sillier than the movie that had Vanilla Ice in it.
Exactly. I
God,
don't know how
that's
they
fine.
did it, but they did it.
That's right. Oh my god, I forgot.
Producer Steph loved that one. If I could tell you the amount of a good chuckle on that one, that was great. That was great. Oh my God, all excellent opinions, excellent opinions. So when it came to this, I agree with you guys. I mean, just in the rambling statement, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying my short abridged version did the movie justice in any way, shape, or form. However, in that chaotic chaos, it was chaotic chaos. Now, coming from the fact that this is going to be a 30-year-old film now, I'm 36. So, I mean, being a kid, I don't know if you guys even remember, the 90s were a strange time. Their promotionals were the coolest, yet the most nostalgic. You guys remember those cream moon pies or apple pies? They had Ninja Turtle versions of them, and they
What?
had green filling in them, and it was
I
really
don't remember
cool.
that.
Yeah, so do you have the lemon bar ones still be the fruit, but they just stuck green filling in there to actually make it ooze, like green ooze that came
Oh
out
wow.
on those. Yeah,
Am I remembering green Oreos? Do I remember
yes, there was green.
green Oreos?
I think I do
God, it was
remember green Oreos.
I mean, there's all these promotions, there's tons of it, and the only reason I'm talking about that is because here we are talking about this film in a very current time that Hollywood was not as open-minded. Let's be real. Hollywood is still not the most open-minded, but we're trying to get there. You know, we're you know, I'm not saying we because I'm just doing a general statement. I don't want to target anybody in this statement. I just know that, you know, Hollywood in general needs to get better. That being said, you know, even at that time, even at a nostalgia time, they were just reaching for the funny laughs, the memorable moments. I think Pepsi and Pizza Hut and like Burger King, no, Pizza Hut, Pepsi, and another company was advertised like 6 times in the film about the amount of boxes that they showed for a good 3 or 4 seconds, right? And the dance moves and so forth and references. There's so many crazy things on it. So I will say it was a great reflection for the 90s at the time and what they were looking at. And so there was a lot to fix as well, but it was crazy, comedic, and entertaining for what it was there. Yes, it could be better. And honestly, I hate saying it, I wouldn't mind seeing a remake introduction to all 3 turtles. I'm just saying that would be interesting. However, we know that something's happening animated wise. So we won't go into that. It's another time for another day, another story for another day. But that's neither here nor there. We're getting started on the time here. So once again, before we go into this, I have a quick question for you guys. Would anybody change their rating at all? And if not, that's okay. Just kind of curious. Julie, would you change your rating up or lower or keep it the same?
No, I think I'll keep it the same.
Excellent.
For reasons I talked about and other reasons that we didn't really get into, but that's
Of
okay.
course. No, it's okay. Awesome. That's perfectly okay. Thank you. Thank you. Rob, would you keep it the same or up it or lower it?
I think I'd probably give it another half a bucket. You know, I think
Gotcha.
talking about the nostalgia, the fact that it kind of really captured that, like, the nostalgia of the 90s and the cheesiness within it, I'll give it an extra half a bucket. I'll give it a 2.5.
All right. Right on. Excellent. Toni, would you keep it the same or lower it or raise it?
I think I gave 3 out of 5 for Hansel and Gretel.
Mm-hmm.
With
yeah, I remember that. I remember that conversation.
I'm willing to, the same. I'm willing to knock it up by half a bucket and give it a nice 3. Because ultimately, this is a lot better than I remember. It's definitely still a lot of fun.
I'm not mad I watched it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not. At no point am I just like, I don't want to see this. What am I doing? I'm only doing this because I love Steph. Like at no point did I have that thought. So I'm happy to revisit it. So yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and just shift it over to a firm C+.
Okay, I like
definitely that. 3 out of 5.
I like that. Okay. I got a 3.5 out of 5. I'm gonna keep it up there because I felt like it was a gracious one of you guys there. So I see you. I appreciate you guys thinking a lot about it. You know, bring it towards my side a little bit. But I do agree with you. I mean, it's kind of hard. You know, looking at this and being like, oh my God, how can you not like this film? I wasn't looking forward to this, but there's a lot better than I expected, you know, that kind of thing. So it was a nice little reach out, right? All right, guys. Well, that's about the time we've had today. Julie, Rob, Toni, thank you so much for actually joining us today. We really appreciate that. Going in, Julie, where can we reach you on your socials, my friend?
So I am at Raelyn on Instagram and at JRaelady, JRAELADY on TikTok.
Excellent. Fantastic. Rob, where can we reach you on your socials, my friend?
You guys can find me at producer_Rob at Instagram. I'm usually on there posting whatever I'm running around, whatever weird, funny things that tend to amuse me.
Heck yeah, right on, right on. Toni, you, my friend, where can we reach you on your socials?
You guys can find me at the Toni Sanchez on almost every single platform. It's Toni with an I, Sanchez with a Z. I'm not really creating much content because I'm just trying to survive late stage capitalism, and my day job's got me super burnt out. But I love talking about this kind of stuff, so I'm trying to do more because it genuinely does make me happy. So I do love getting to sit down and talk with you guys about silly movies. So appreciate it.
Excellent. Gosh, I agree with you. I'm still feeling that late stages of capitalism myself. We go in there. You know, I love that you brought it up. I always enjoy talking to you guys. So I always love having all three of you on the show. So it feels good to have you guys come back. So we really appreciate it. I'm getting all emotional over here. That being said, you guys can find me on Facebook at Alejandro M. Cowie. I'm now sharing reels and shenanigans in there. Instagram is going to be IAMCOWIE. That's I am Cowie. I do reels, real content. I'm going to start some stuff going into short stories. It'll be fantastic. And
Can I just say your morning reels in the morning, like your motivational morning reels are like part of my now morning routine. I'm like, okay, I need to see what Cowie's doing in the morning. This is going to motivate me to actually make my cup of coffee and get my day started. What's Cowie saying this week? Or what's Cowie saying this morning?
Oh, I love you, Rob. I appreciate it. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate you. Going into please know that once again, be sure to join our Discord to keep the conversation going, as well as subscribing to our platforms, all at Nom Talk Network. Tune in to our next show, which will be on the 23rd with Mike Manalo, guest Michael Lee, and Julie coming in to talk about The Mandalorian Season 3. So super excited about that. Once again, guys, thank you guys for being here. Audience members, thanks you for coming, tuning in. Q, everybody comments, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. Never grow up, never surrender. Love, peace, chicken grease. Have a great night. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.